Hi everyone, welcome to week 8. This week we are going to introduce the concept of treatment fidelity. You have 2 articles assigned to read this week. Both are available from the Himmelfarb Library through the links included on the slides and on Blackboard. There is a third optional article that describes a process of using an intervention fidelity approach. So what is intervention fidelity? It is the extent to which an intervention or program is delivered as it was intended. So for the purposes of our class, you may think about this as just monitoring how your program is delivered and if it's delivered as you are designing it. Depending on what resource you use, there may be different components of treatment fidelity that are reported. Commonly, what aspects are covered by treatment fidelity or program fidelity are design, training, delivery, receipt, and enactment. Now, one of the assigned articles this week does not include enactment, but I'll go through it in these slides. So probably where we see intervention fidelity the most clearly is in the design, by defining what are the active ingredients of the program or intervention, what is the dose, what is the content, what ingredients might be included but are not essential or specific to the program, and what are the things that might dilute the effects of the program. Some strategies that are included with design fidelity are the completion of written guidelines. Now, for our course, you will not be doing an intervention manual, but you will be designing an outcomes chain and a program matrix that will kind of address a lot of these aspects. You may, and through that process, you will articulate the essential factors. If you were, for example, replicating an existing program, you may consult with the original designers and plan for implementation setbacks. Where are the places where the program might be hung up? Tools for supporting design fidelity include the use of checklists and also observation of a program once it's implemented. From an ongoing standpoint, we want to monitor treatment or program fidelity, and ideally this would occur through some observation of by an independent party. It might be over time at random points, it might be systematic or on certain check-in points, but generally it's recommended that there is some independence of the observer and it's not somebody who's an internal to the program. Another way to support intervention fidelity is by training the people who are delivering the program or intervention. This might be accomplished through certification or an initial training process, and then periodic boosters as refreshers for the core components of the program. Some training monitoring and strategies and tools include a standardized approach to training, having certain minimum skill sets of the people delivering the intervention or program, minimizing drift. So drift just means that the program starts to sort of get away from its key components for various, and this can happen for many different reasons. So minimizing that drift away from the original purpose and core components. And then accommodating instructor differences. Certainly, we're all human and everybody does things a little bit differently. So how do we accommodate differences in the people delivering the program but still adhere to the core components? And there's some tools there to use to you might have performance criteria for the people delivering the intervention. You may monitor their satisfaction and take their feedback. Again, periodic program evaluation, including assessment of the people delivering the program, and also tracking attrition. So if you have a lot of turnover in among the people delivering the program, that could also affect the fidelity. So when we think about program delivery, this kind of goes hand in hand with training. Are the dosage, timing, and content consistent across time and across the people who are receiving it? And again, is it being delivered as it was conceptualized in the design? And here's where, again, having a manual or some kind of guideline or protocol is helpful for maintaining fidelity on an ongoing basis. That way, the evaluators can monitor whether the program is being delivered as designed. And again, periodic boosters for training may be of benefit. Some ways that delivery can be monitored is looking at attendance records. For example, if you have a program that involves participants attending a certain number of sessions, we can see whether or not there is intervention fidelity. Say there's 10 sessions, but most people are only going 5 times. They're really not getting the full program, so it's hard to evaluate the outcomes of what the program is doing if they're not getting the full dosage. You might use subject or client feedback, again, observations using checklists, and if there are changes to the program that are necessary, that those are documented so that we can then track how they're affecting the program outcomes. Then we want to look at receipt. So you can design the best program and deliver it exactly as it was designed. But what if there's some flaw in the design that the people who are intended to benefit aren't really getting the benefits? Are they getting the active ingredients? So this is where we think about monitoring the change in knowledge or change in behavior among the people who are the intended beneficiaries of the program. So again, that might come from assessments and knowledge checks. It could be from self-report checklists. It can be through observations. It can be through interviews. But really, we want to assess whether the people who are the intended beneficiaries are actually getting what they're supposed to be getting out of the program. And then enactment, and again, this was not part of the key components in the article that was assigned this week, but it is sometimes included in program and intervention fidelity measures. So not just are the people who are the intended beneficiaries, are they receiving what they're supposed to get out of the program, but then how does it then impact them? Do they change their behavior? Do they actually use this information? Do they carry it over? Do they apply what they learned through the program or intervention into different settings? So this might seem like a little bit beyond the scope of the program, but sometimes we know that sometimes people can get information, but it doesn't necessarily change behavior. So this is kind of a key component. And again, this is where we're assessing, very similar to the last item, we are to receipt, we are looking at outcomes and self-report and interviews as ways of monitoring enactment fidelity. So I hope this lecture is helpful in clarifying the key components. I look forward to hearing your questions and further discussion on the discussion boards and voice threads.